podcast with Matt Hillyer. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm really excited to be talking to you. I love the whole concept of it. Like when first I've discovered it on Instagram, just you doing the blind listens or whatever to stuff that you hadn't heard before. And I'm like, I already love this idea. You know what I mean? Because as somebody who loves all styles of music, but specifically who's done country for a long, long time, but then also had experience playing heavy rock to a degree. Uh, it's cool. I love it. I love it. It's like, wow, man, this is so cool. It's so cool to see somebody who maybe hasn't heard this stuff before, and the reactions are cool.
Dude, what's been great is once I have somebody scheduled for the podcast, I'll do a deep dive into their music.
Mhm.
And you have an immense catalog. And I've done you such a disservice of there's so many layers to you. And I just want to start off by asking you, can you write a bad song? I don't think you can.
Oh yeah, 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 for sure. No, I've got like I have a folder full of them.
Really?
I mean, look, we're always hardest on ourselves. A lot of times, luckily, most of the times, I think if I go back and listen to something that I haven't released, it's like damn work tapes. Most of the time, they don't suck as bad as I think that they might. You know, but if you do something enough, then theoretically you get better at it. But there are some that are cringeworthy to me, for sure. Yeah, you
That's
know.
that's wild because listening to your music, it huge catalog, and I didn't have any skips, and I found I have a new favorite song of
Okay.
yours.
Well, first, before you tell me what it is, because I really want to know, I'd be remiss if I didn't just say thank you for the compliment. I really appreciate that. That's nice of you.
If you
What's the favorite song? Yeah.
ordinary man,
No kidding.
it
I
has the
love that because it's an oddball tune, and those are the ones that I like the most. And yeah, it's kind of a Harry Nilsson kind of Beatlesy kind of thing. It's out of the ordinary for like the sort of Buck Owens country thing that we did a whole bunch of.
yeah. It definitely to me it had a Dark Side of the Moon vibe or like a David
Yeah.
Bowie type esque, and I was like, man, this is fantastic. And then it just goes into right into Dirty Secrets, and it's just
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, man, oh, Dirty Little Secrets.
Uh-huh.
It's just wild how the palette of your music is so diverse, and there's you do them all so well, and it's I love it. It's so
Thank you.
good.
Thank you. And that, I mean, look, that song's particularly sort of special. It's like loosely based on my dad. Um, just because he was a brilliant guy, hilarious dude, and but he loved his family more than anything. And so his job wasn't particularly exciting or anything like that, and he just you know lived to work to be with his family, and that was so that's kind of where the song is coming from. But that's why it's so cool that you would say that song in particular, because it's just really the songs that I wind up liking usually are the ones that come out of left field a little bit, which that one does.
Yeah, it, it has like I said, a really cool like vintage vibe, and a lot of your songs have a really cool vintage, especially when you have the background vocals of a female artist. It gives it that warmth,
Mhm.
and it just gives it that velvet texture of just like a great delivery. And I love that. I love the implication or just using that technique of like older in the 70s and 80s, and because now I feel like that's lost of having.
Yeah, I mean, like I think a lot of the my sort of the way I came to country music really was just kind of um it's a weird deal, and this is one of the reasons I love what you do with this so much is because I came to country music through rockabilly music, but then I came to rockabilly music through punk rock because my brother was really into punk rock. I listened to everything that he listened to. He's older than me, and so we would listen to a lot of punk rock. And then he went on a trip to England one year, and he came back with these records that were they called them psychobilly records, And with these particular bands, I was like, man, that's something I've never heard before. That's really, really cool. It's kind of like a 50s rock kind of thing, but it's also punk. It's just weird, like it's from outer space or something. And then my mom, being cool like she is, she was like, "Well, I mean, that psychobilly stuff, that's kind of neat. That's you found something you like. But if you like psychobilly, you should check out rockabilly." I'm like, "What? Huh?" So I did. That's how cool she is. I had never heard the word before, like, and she's like, "Nah, go look at our old 45 collection. We got some Gene Vincent in there and some Eddie Cochran." And then me being the music nerd that I am, I was like, "Well, rockabilly's kind of like country and the blues put together, like the early forms of rock and roll." And so then I started digging into the blues, and I started digging into, I just started just consuming as much of it as possible. And so, I love all kinds of music. If it's good and if it tells the truth and it, registers on any kind of level, then that's what it is. But I mean, like, that's one of, like I said, this is one of the reasons that I love your take on hearing a lot of this music, is because I was coming at it from some other direction. I can't. There were some country records in my parents' record collection, but I wasn't one of these guys that's just like, you know, grew up having listening to Buck Owens or Johnny Horton or Johnny Cash or Hank Williams or whatever. I kind of figured that out on my own. Like there were Willie Nelson records and there were some country records, but it wasn't. And living in Texas, you're gonna hear it no matter what, whether you whether you want to or not. But when I really fell in love with it was just because I sort of discovered it from a whole different place, and it really started with heavier music, punk rock, first the British stuff, and then like into a lot of the American hardcore stuff, and then taking a left turn into rockabilly, and then into country. It's just really kind of weird.
Yeah, that's that's interesting because I I remember there was a really good era of that was getting popular, and even like I guess they call it like swing and ska and everything,
Mhm.
and kind of like the British invasion. I just remember, man, it was like
Yeah, yeah. I remember it completely, but I mean, I was into it before then, and like it was kind of a bummer because the Stray Cats had broken up. You couldn't. There wasn't like you could go just see a rockabilly band. They just didn't kind of. There were some out there, but not where I was. And then a friend of mine told me, I was about 12 years old, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, we're going to see the Reverend Horton Heat this weekend. You should come." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds cool. How do I do that?" Like I'm 12. My dad took me, and then I saw the Reverend Horton Heat, and that blew my mind because he was just a melting pot of all cool styles, and then became this sort of psychobilly guru. And yeah, but then I remember, when we started going on tour with rockabilly bands, that whole swing thing started to happen. I don't know. It was fun to watch all that when it was going on, and be part
yeah,
of it as well.
yeah. It's weird how it like exploded, and then I feel like it just like disappeared. And
Yeah.
like the movie Swingers, it was
Uh-huh.
like in mainstream Hollywood content, and then like all those names, like the Squirrel Nut Zippers and of the newer age. But I
The
just
cherry
remember,
poppin' daddies.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, go Daddy O.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Royal
cool.
Crown Review was the big one. And we saw it, like we were going out to the West Coast a lot back in those days with our little three-piece rockabilly band, and we saw it happening because, it was everybody was in that scene in California was kind of coming from the rockabilly world. And then one trip we took out there, then all these guys you knew before that were wearing all the rockabilly gear had like zoot suits on and these chains going down to their, you know, ankle or
Yeah,
whatever. It was like, That's weird, man." I mean, it's cool. The music is cool, but like, it's just y'all switched it up. Like it
yeah,
changed the whole deal. And then it was gone. And after Swingers, then like I don't know, they decided it wasn't cool anymore or something. I don't
yeah.
know.
It was
Yeah,
really weird. It was like everybody was into it, and then it just faded away, and it
yeah,
was a shame because it was different, and it got you to move. Like your music is definitely like it takes a lot for me on a heavier song will definitely have my head moving, but
yeah.
the man, your music, it has like a really cool swing, and I guess it's all just that melting pot of all the because that's the rhythm in rockabilly is very very prominent.
It's a lot of swing, yeah, and man, you know, with 1100 Springs, the band that I had for that's the one I had for most of the time. Uh, we just I don't know, we it wasn't supposed to be anything. Like we started as you know, just trying to make extra money, just extra beer money, and have fun doing it because we had all these we knew all these old school country songs. We figured we could get together on a weeknight and just sort of mess around, and it was enough fun and it that people started coming out like, well, this is really pretty cool. But it was also a chance for us to sort of just give a tip of the hat to a lot of the people that we really liked a lot, whether it was Western swing via Bob Wills or some of the rockabilly stuff that we kind of came up with, or you know, straight ahead George Jones, Merle Haggard, uh, you know, that kind of stuff, and then Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson, and we just pulled to pull four, you know, to fill 4 hours in a lot of these dance halls. Like you'd have to pretty much play every song you know, and then some that you don't, just on the fly.
Yeah,
So it really, you know, it impacted us a whole lot there because it wasn't just like we wanted to be an outlaw country band or we wanted to be a western swing band or we wanted to play, you know, like Doug Somm or the Texas Tornadoes, or we wanted to play Ray Price. Or what we just kind of did it all, you know, and then tried to sort of blend a lot of those styles together with our own songs, you know. And I just I mean I don't know, I love all of that stuff, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I've heard a handful of folks just like really try to sort of mask their influences. You know what I mean? Like they're just like as if like they like they invented the wheel or something. It's like
yeah,
no, man, I'm not ashamed to say it. Like I love these guys, all of these guys. If you hear that influence, it's not an accident. We love that stuff. You know.
yeah. It's definitely a very diverse sound, and I love how it's recorded. It has like I like the polished stuff, but the stuff that like 1100 Springs and your solo records, it has like an energy to it. Like it was like very a collective effort, and it just comes across like that, and I love that feeling.
I take that as a compliment and I appreciate it. Like I think I mean it was always we were always especially with 1100 we were always very proud to be a band. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because that's just not um and now that I'm kind of doing stuff on my under my own name, it's not necessarily the same because I can use whoever I want on the records. What you know, anybody I want to. It's still going to be my name on the record, but I don't ever really want to stray too far into like just like something that you're not able to recreate live at
yeah,
all. You know what I mean? Because that's part of what people are buying, and then the further away you don't get me wrong, like have as much fun recording, making a recording as possible. You know, swing for the fences if you want to, but I don't know. I like you know I'm producing a record for a friend of mine right now, and there's been a handful of times she's like, "Well, do you think we should add this? Is this?" Like, well, we can, but really, you might ought to keep it to chase it down, not out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
keep it to what something that you can still create and still recreate for the people who are theoretically going to be coming to your shows. You know, and the more stuff, sometimes the more stuff you pile onto it, like the further away you get from the actual truth. You know what I mean?
yeah. Definitely. When I mean, you have to replicate it at a show.
Yeah.
Like people want to hear what you know they've been listening to on the way to the show
Uh huh.
on the album, and yeah, like it's a really cool feeling, and it's I know I like it because like I when I first hear one of your songs, like I'm just like I get jealous because I want to know all the lyrics, you know, and I don't ever
Yeah.
really want to sing, but that's when I like I always say like an acoustic song is good when I don't miss the drums And if there's a song where like I want to be able to sing it on the first listen, that's when I really know that there's something special there. And man, just going through your music, I was just like, wow, wow, wow. It's because it's nonstop. And also, like when I Googled why did 1100 Springs break up, it was like it the story was just like the bass player, one of the founding members, just had other things he wanted to do, and you're just like, okay, we'll just I got my solo stuff. It was just really
It's
kind of
good, and I'm glad that it went that way. I mean, we kinda hovered over that button for a while just because, uh, we were a band that was together for 23 years, and that's a
wow.
good solid run, and every time we would get together and think about making another record, it's kinda like, "Well, are we gonna do this um, or do we not wanna do this?" And then like the pandemic came along, and I won't blame it all on that because we had been thinking about, whether or not to keep going for a while. But he and I started the band together, and he put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in it, and really, if I'm telling the truth, was really kinda driving the ship to a large majority. Like, I would write the songs and handle the creative. We would handle all that stuff together, but the day-to-day, really, my attention to detail sucks, man. So, like, he's good at that, and so I think that, like and he I don't think he wanted to be in a bar band anymore, like, he didn't wanna do it, and I was like, "Well," we talked about possibly if I just keep doing it, but I don't think I really wanted to, like, not without him, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be fair, I don't think it'd be right, I don't think it'd be the same, so, everybody kinda went their separate ways amicably. And I won't say that we'll never do it again. We did a sort of reunion show with our buddies, Bowling for Soup, and I guess I got a couple years ago. God, time flies, man. It was last year, I guess. But no, I mean, we love those guys, and that just sounded like fun. So it could happen again, you
Yeah.
know,
That's probably
but
a
no
great
major
show.
plans. Yeah. Oh, it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and those guys, and when we talked about it, because the premise that they had for this show was pretty cool. Uh, because the Longhorn Ballroom in Dallas just reopened after years and years. It's been there forever. One of the famous things about the Longhorn Ballroom, there's lots of famous things about that place, but one of the famous things is that the Sex Pistols came and played at the Longhorn Ballroom in the 70s. And kind of just everybody flipped out because in Dallas, Texas, nobody knew what to think of anywhere. No one knew what to think of the Sex Pistols for their short little run of being a band. But on the marquee at the Longhorn Ballroom, I guess the Sex Pistols were maybe on Saturday night, but Merle Haggard was on Friday night. So there's a famous picture of the marquee that's says for Merle Haggard, the Sex Pistols. So it's a famous picture. They made T-shirts and posters and all that stuff. But I think the people at the Longhorn were trying to sort of give a tip of the hat to that sort of premise, so they put together this show called Punks and Pokes, and they got Bowling for Soup, and they're like, man, it'd be cool if we get 1100 Springs, and I think that initially they thought that it couldn't happen. I'm really glad that it did, because whenever I would tell people about the show, they're like, that's kind of a weird pairing. It's like, it's really not, man. It's really, really not. If you knew the history of our friendship with Bowling for Soup, how far back it goes, like when we were playing rock music, our bands played together all the time. We were great friends and still are, and it made all the sense in the world to us. But some of the 1100 fans are like, "You guys in Bowling for Soup?" It's like, nah, man. That's a match made in heaven. It was great. Jared and I got tattooed. We got buddy tattoos
Oh,
for
really?
that show. Yeah, yeah.
That's
He's
awesome.
a, yeah. You've probably had him on your deal.
No, no, he's supposed to come on. I just messaged him the other day actually, and
Yeah.
he changed some of his info. But yeah, it's wild how we became friends through like TikTok, and
Yeah.
I love watching him go up when people are singing the Bowling for Soup songs, and he
Mhm.
goes up and starts singing it with them, and they turn around, they're like, "Are you the guy?"
Yeah. Hey, you may
It's
never find a better guy than that. He's just a very sweet person, of course, famously hilarious, and just a kind guy. Like I mean, it was a trip. You might appreciate this. Like we switched from playing rockabilly to this sort of heavy rock band, and we were doing good with the rockabilly thing, and then we started playing heavy rock, and and then everybody did not understand what we were doing. And so like we went from doing pretty well regionally and touring and stuff, and then we were back to new music night. We were on new music night in Dallas, Texas, which is kind of like, okay, I thought we already did this, but they were on new music night too, and our whole thing was pretty in your face. We were really trying to be as big a dirtbags as we could possibly, and succeeding pretty well. Um, but like, so Jarrett, as he's told me, he's like, man, I didn't know what to think about you guys because I thought y'all might be joking. You know what I mean? Like, I thought you might be sort of tongue in cheek about some of the, heavy aspect and this talk on the mic and all that stuff and screaming and being loud. And it's like, nah. I mean, it probably was pretty funny, but I don't think we were joking. And like it wasn't supposed to be. But I don't know. We met that night and we've been friends ever since just because, I respect those guys and always have for so much because they worked so much harder than so many of the other bands around them. And it wasn't just that their harmonies were so good. And it wasn't just because the songs were so well written and that the show was airtight. They just worked harder than most people you would see. And that's why we're talking about them right now.
y-
So
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. It's cool to see that they're still out there, uh,
Mhm.
doing it and everything. And it, I love Jared's page. You get to see of just how big of a sweetheart he is. And
Mhm.
that's the one thing I do like about social media is you get to see the other side, and you make a couple hundred videos. If you're not, you're gonna kind of like give some tells that maybe it's just like a lights, camera, action. Here's the character, but he's on nonstop, and
Yeah. He's really good at it. Like I mean, I keep saying I'm going to take a page from him. It's funny cuz I mean, I can turn it on and I like to do it, but I mean like that whole thing where the camera starts rolling and then you're on. You know what I mean? Like for me to get like a 60-second video where I'm I think I'm pretty funny. I think I've said what I was supposed to say. I swear to you, it takes me at least 12 takes to
yeah.
to
Oh,
to
and
get to get something that I can use. And then I look at my friends and they're like, it's like, dude, you just got to do it. Just make it part of your thing. Cause I just get in my head about it where I'm just like, oh, I sound like an idiot. Sound like an idiot. So stupid.
yeah. Oh, you
Like
just
I'm
watch
pissed.
yourself, and you're like, oh, who is
Yeah.
that guy? I
Yeah.
I do it all the time, and just I'll just be like, you know what? I'll just put it out there because like I had an issue. Like I'd never listened to a song and like cried about it, and then,
Hmm.
like I just remember the first time it happened, and I was like, do I put this out there? And I was like, you know what? Like it's what happened, and I think when people, because like right now, like I'll get the copyright strikes if I do over a minute, and I have to like chop up songs, and I hate doing that. It's just to ruin a composition like that. It's just, but yeah, I think that's like it not like it was brave, but it was like really weird, just like putting yourself out there like that, and it's just it is hard. It's like especially like you know we were in music before hashtags and social media. It was like here's my flyer. You throw this away, or you come to
Right.
the show. You know what I mean? Or like
Oh, I do.
the guy pumping gas. It looks over at you like, oh, this guy's gonna come over and hand me something. You'd be like, hey man, you want to come to our show? Here you
Uh-huh.
go. And they'll yeah, that old the stapler and all that. All
The
this.
staple gun. I even can remember doing pasteurized milk with a paintbrush, because that was like the way that like if you did that, they can never get it off. You know what I mean? Like you've seen them like on walls that have just like poster after poster after poster, and it's like, well, hell, man, like that's been up there for a while. It's like, yeah, I don't know who told me about it. It's like, yeah, you take the milk and you paint it on there. It's like, oh, well, that's kind of weird and gross, but I did it. I did it at least once or twice, and it's a pretty gross, sticky situation. But that's old school, man. Everything that I've ever done musically that went anywhere was built off of cheap cassette tapes. Like
Yeah.
first of
Oh,
all,
the
yeah.
like the old Tascam four
hmm
track thing. Man,
We made lots of recordings we sold on the Tascams, man. Like, and they weren't. I mean, they weren't great, but they weren't terrible. Like if you knew a buddy that had one of those, man, you were going to his house at some
yeah,
point in time.
yeah,
That's how engineers and producers were born back in the day.
yeah.
I want to ask you. So, like, this whole thing is sort of, how many years have you been doing the country versus metal thing?
I think it's 3 or 4. I believe
Yeah.
it's.
Well, I'm trying to figure out. Like, been at least a couple of years since I first saw what you were up to, and like, what was this? Did you have a buddy that was just like, "Hey, have you listened to this?" Uh, what was the impetus for coming up with like doing the blind listens and stuff?
Man, I guess it was. I got hired to play. I got hired to play a show for Brian Martin, and he was a pretty big deal at the time. You see Spotify, 4 million listeners, and I told my buddy, I was like, "Listen, I don't listen to country music," and I was playing in a country band, but it was music I didn't listen to. It was just stuff I was playing, but I never heard the originals. And I just remember I got the call the night before, and on a set list they don't put who sings the song, so I had like no idea. And I just remember them coming up and that it'd be like, "Hey, you're the guitar player," because I was outside of the venue with my guitar amp. Like I got a battery guitar amp, and I'm trying to listen to the songs. I'm trying to be as professional as possible. And it was George Jones. Stop loving her today. And I'm like, I swear to God, he's moving the capo. I said, there's something going on. The keys changing, and he was just like, "Yeah, you never heard this before." I was like, I didn't know who George Jones was. I know George Strait. There was a bunch of other guys, and I just remember he was using my drummer. My drummer was his drummer at the time, and he just brought me aside. He's like, "Man, you need to listen to country music if you want to do this. Like you got to stop playing like how you're playing and put some twang on that." Like I'd never played on like a Fender amp
Yeah.
before, and I had a Kemper, and like I really didn't know how to set it up. But I really liked the tone of it, and then I sat down with my buddy, and I was listening to a song that I wasn't enjoying, and I was commentary on it, and he was like, "You should record that." And we sat because he's a country fanatic. Like he loves country music, and I'm was given it was stuff I didn't like though still, and I was just kind of like a character, like the mean guy, and he's the nice
Yeah.
guy. And I just remember I never heard this Johnny Cash song. I had not like I had a beef with Johnny Cash, but my one of my favorite songs was "Hurt" by 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
And when he covered that, I thought he did a great job, but then it was like that's his song now. That's it's out of 9 Inch Nails' hand. And I was kind of like, man, I had real big connection to it. And he was older, and then when we were doing the country versus metal where I was sitting side by side with him and I heard his song, I was like, man, I wonder if he'd be considered one of the first like kind of like rapper kind of because his cadence and his vocals was a lot faster than older music I had heard, and
Yeah.
it wasn't a terrible song, and I really liked it. He was younger, so his voice was more deep and just had more character, and I was like, man, there's something to it. But what really took off is when I heard like Pecos and the Rooftops and like the Texas country guys that aren't afraid to put some dirt on their guitars and
Yeah.
whatnot. And then like it slowly came around to like Waylon Jennings. I was like, man, this dude's voice is incredible. And it took a little while because I was like, man, if he just had some dirt. And now I'm like, now I love the Fender chiminess and
Yeah.
that tone. And even when you crank a clean amp and you get that like Stevie Ray Vaughan or like Zach Wilkerson sound
Uh-huh.
of just a screaming guitar, I I just like fell in love with it. I'd always loved Stevie Ray Vaughan, but man, there's country guys like Johnny Highland and Brent Mason and all those
Yeah.
guys that can just doing like the finger picking and stuff, and like because that comes around to like the rockabilly stuff is kind of on the same where you if you know your way around the guitar, you're gonna do good in that genre. But
Yeah.
I never appreciated the country guys because I just never listened to it. But man, now I have such massive respect. And also, like, you can play too because I was watching you play and I was like, dude, I love that when a front man just goes, watch this.
Well, I appreciate it. I love to play guitar, and when I first started singing and playing and doing shows and whatnot, I was pretty young, but I mean, it might have been more important to me in my mind to be a guitar player than it was to be a singer. Um, I don't know. I really I like it a lot. I'm a good guitar player. I'm not a great guitar player. Like because you know how it is. I mean, you're a really good guitar player. You know, if if you're at the point where you can say you're a great guitar player, uh, well, then you've graduated to a certain level. But most really, good guitar players are, even really good guitar players would be like, nah, there's this guy over here. I mean, there's always somebody, you just throw a rock, you hit somebody who's really, really, really good. But I love to do it, and that's one
Yeah.
things that I loved about, rockabilly or country music, which is that there was always a spot for instrumental, solos and things, and such really killer pickers, like whether it was James Burton or Merle Travis or Chet Atkins or from all going all the way back or Grady Martin, all these guys from early back, and it's just always such a big part of of the song. You got a really great singer and the vocals always out front, and nothing should be in the way of the vocal except when it's time for somebody to take a lead break and you're like, and it's Roy Clark or Glenn Campbell or something, and you're just like, holy, what just happened, man?
Yeah.
So it's like, and I love that. That's one of the things that I love about what you do, and then seeing you play when you pick up and you shred. It's like, see, he's a picker, dude. He can play, which is cool because that's such a sort of similar thing between like metal, which I came to metal kind of late, like I was into punk rock and I was into some metal, but then I got into metal like later. And it was really cool. It was really, really fun to get into it. Just like, okay. But like, metal bands always had really proficient, technically great musicians that do stuff that like guys in punk bands just can't do. You know what I mean? Like they just can't do it. It's not that it's so much different. It's just that these guys actually stayed at home and really, really learned to play fast and to play clean and to do all the crazy stuff. And I love it. And a lot of it's the same sort of thing for country music, even if it's like a simple, super duper simple song, like a Buck Owens tune where it's just verse, chorus out. You still got Don Rich in the background doing his thing where he's just chicken picking the whole time. It's like that gives you, I don't know, as an instrumentalist, as a musician, it gives you something to sink your teeth into. I love it. I love having fun. When I get in the studio, it's nerve wracking to try and come up with guitar stuff, but when it's all said and done, it's like, man, that was fun. That was a good time.
So
But
a lot of those parts, they're like you, like Green Eyes. Is that you playing?
that's all me. Yeah, no, all the guitar
Nice.
stuff is me. Yeah, I do all that stuff. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
great.
that's kind of a punk rock song.
Yeah,
That's pretty much straight ahead. That's what I mean. It's a country song, but it's still. I was like, man, this is more of like a. I could hear the Vandaliers doing this. I could hear Bowling for Soup doing this one. Of course, they have great songs of their own, so they don't need any help from me. But it
Yeah.
would be cool to hear them do it. You know.
Yeah, I
So
love what is it, Vandaliers? Their Instagram is like your punk band's favorite country band. I think that was their
yeah,
description like that. I love that
yeah,
description.
yeah. Hey, let me turn on a light real quick. Yeah, I'm using daylight right now, and it's getting dark. Hold on one second.
Yeah, no problem. That's funny.
That's better.
Yeah, it's we had the same thing. I had Win Williams on yesterday, and he was sitting down on the porch. He was like, "Hey man, I should move because there's no light."
Yeah.
So it happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was good because as you can see above my head, when I had that light on, when we first started, that wasn't a good thing. I was like, I'll
Uh,
turn that light off and we'll just use the outside light. But, we fell back. We
yeah.
fell back. Now it's getting darker earlier. So anyway.
Ah, yeah, man, it's like my least favorite time of year when you just get home. You live like a vampire. It's
hmm Let me ask you a question that I have an opinion about. And then my daughter, my youngest daughter, who's 17, and she got into metal, I don't know, in the last 5 years or so, which was really cool to me because it just kind of came out of the blue. But she and I have talked about this. If you had to choose between these two guys as maybe the best metal singer, my two picks were Rob Halford and Ronnie James Dio. Those are my two. Those are like if I, as far as like the two dudes that I would maybe say, all right, traditional heavy metal. Maybe those two guys. I have an opinion. I want to know yours.
for pick two. I
No, just like between the two of them. Like
oh
if you had to make a choice between those
I
guys.
I would, I would definitely say Dio. It's his range is incredible. I
Which one?
Dio.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. We laughed at Dio when we were kids, like when we were young, when we were super young, because he would he'd sing all these songs about, warlocks and dragons and it's just kind of it's very theatric in this sort of Dungeons and Dragonsy kind of way. But like, man, when I came back around to really actually give it an honest try, and listen to the vocals that guy would put out, I'm like, damn, man, that dude wails, man.
Yeah, definitely.
But to
And
me, it was between those two guys, Rob Halford, which is just like all the way up there and hitting it and just killing it. But Ronnie James Dio is just like this tiny little powerhouse that's just, where does a voice like that come out of this little tiny little guy? You know what I mean?
yes, especially his size. Like, Meatloaf was a big dude, and he had that like huge range. But yeah, like normally people with ranges like that are a bigger build,
Yeah.
and it was funny to watch and like the content of everything. And,
Did
you
you
know,
hear Jack Black talk about how whenever uh, they had him sing on that song for the Tenacious D movie,
yeah,
came into the studio and they're all just like, it's Dio. He's in the studio. He's going to sing on this song. And he keeps, he's doing great vocal performances, but they're using like this Neumann mic. It's like $2,000 microphone. They're like, okay, we're going to really capture this thing. And it just keeps distorting and overmodulating and all this stuff. And Dio keeps saying, I brought my own mic, and it looks like nothing, it looks like something, you might get at Radio Shack, and they're like, no, no, we got this, we're cool, we're cool. So, you sure? Because I brought my mic, and so finally, nothing is working, and they plug his mic in, and it's just one take, done, perfect. You know what I mean? That's so cool. I always had the mad respect for headbangers because that's what everybody called them back in the day. Because back in the day when the Breakfast Club model was a real thing, going through high school, like the jocks hung out with the jocks and the burnouts hung out with the burnouts and the nerds, just kept to themselves, and then the prep guys and whatever. But I loved the metal guys because they were so committed. They were so committed to the thing. And like a lot like the punk rockers with like jean jacket vests with there wasn't like hardly an inch that didn't have a band's patch on it. And they don't care what you think about it. They're just like, this is the deal, man. This is
Yeah.
this is what we think, man. We are all in on accept. You know what I mean? We are all in on Dawkins, man.
Yeah.
We're in on it. I
Dude.
love that.
Yeah. I experienced that 100%. My parents had moved me, and it was a small town where everybody had been going to school their entire lives together. And I was like the first person picked up on the bus. So I was like, oh, the cool kids sit in the back. And we pull up to this house, and the whole family is just clad in leather. Even the bulldog had a leather hat on, a leather jacket. And one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen came with long hair and just this leather jacket and chains. And he just walked up to me, and he was he goes, "You're sitting in my seat." And I said, "That explains why it's bowed in the middle." And he grabbed me up and he said, "What did you say?" And I said, "Let me go, James Hetfield." And he's like, "What did you just say?" I said, "James Hetfield, you know, the guy in Metallica?" He goes, "Oh, I know who you're talking about." He goes, "You sit down. Sit down." And we talked. And he introduced me to all the other long hair people. And, because I kind of had long hair too. And I didn't even know what to wear because I came from Catholic school. So I was just like, oh, I'm going swimming after school. So that was not great attire for the first day of a new school. And he introduced me to everybody, and it was great. And, they're like, oh, this band, this band. We sat all together, and it was a great communal thing. Until one day I was like, you know what? I don't have a girlfriend. So I went to the mall and I just walked up and I saw a mannequin at Structure. That's how long ago this was. And I said, I'll take that. I'll take that outfit. Sweater vest, khakis. I cut my hair. And I just remember like putting my lunch tray down. They're like, who the hell are you? I'm like, oh, it's me. They used to call me Slayer. I was like, it's me, Pat Slayer. I used to wear Slayer shirts all the time. Somebody's call me Slayer. And they're like, you can't headbang anymore, man. I'm like, no, and I can. Yeah. Yeah, I could still give myself neck problems. But yeah, it definitely. And then, the punk guys, they're doing skateboarding, having all the patches and putting the gelatin in their hair with the.
Yeah, see, I was
the
more on
velvet.
that side of it for a while, and then got into rockabilly, which was a whole different kind of that style is a classic, like that sort of 50 style is always kind of sort of going to be in style and cool whatsoever, but like not if you're really in it. Like it's whole lot of people give you a hard time. What's up, Elvis? It's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
wish.
Yeah.
What I
Right.
mean? Is that supposed to be a put down? Because it does. It's not registering to me, man. No, I don't know, man. I miss those days a lot of times where people were defined by the bands that they listened to, like the people that you hung out with, the things that you did. We're kind of all in on it. It's cool now because when I ask my kids, I'm like, so what do you like? Like what are you into? I mean, and they're like, I don't know. Everybody kind of just does the same stuff. Everybody's weird. It's like, oh, I guess that's cool.
Yeah.
But I do kind of miss just being all in on something and just like you feel like you had your own sort of thing. You know what I mean? And your buddies had the same thing, and you guys could talk about that stuff.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely. And it was really cool how it was very music based. And a lot of the people that were involved in it weren't musicians, had like no interest in learning how to play it. They just loved listening to it. And I love like switching tapes. You'd go home and make with the two cassettes and make
Oh
tapes for
yeah.
each other. And have you heard these guys yet? No, and then you end up going to shows together, and it it was cool. It definitely
Yeah.
was cool because like if you like punk music and you could see a guy, you already had something in common when you know when you see the patches and you see all the familiar band names and whatnot, and you know you're on a basic level you're gonna have an understanding and something
And
something basic
rockabilly was
connection.
so weird too because like everybody was sort of living under a rock. So there was like a small little scene, and you wouldn't see any of these guys until maybe there was a show that everybody would go to, and they're like, "Oh man, that dude." I need to know that guy. I need to know this guy, you know? See, man, you might have played it wrong though, because if you didn't have to cut your hair and go to Structure and buy an outfit, I think that maybe if you wanted a girlfriend, one of the best moves in those days was to you talk about cassette tapes. If you could make a good mixtape and get it and hand it off to
Oh
a girl, that was a thing. You
yeah,
know what I
oh
mean?
the old
I
mixtape.
can't
Yep.
remember who I was talking. Yeah, I can't remember who I was talking to like this last weekend, and the topic of mixtapes came up, and we're like, "Oh yeah." It's like, "You remember mixtapes?" It's like, "Yeah, man." If a guy gave this is a woman, she's like, if a guy gave you a good mixtape, that went a long way, you know. Should have
Yeah.
given it a shot. And then you would have found the girl that like was into the stuff that you're into, maybe, you know,
Yeah.
because they're out there somewhere.
Yeah. Metal Mix 96.
Right. Yeah. It's a very special gal. It's a very
Yeah.
special gal. You might have to make a few different copies of the same tape, but
Yeah.
eventually, you
On the
know.
old Memorex, or I'm trying to think of I think it was Memorex, the old
Is it
cassette
real
tape.
or is it Memorex? Yeah, that was their big ad campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Man.
and you were lucky if you had the double decks that it would dub them off like in high speed, you know, it would take half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a
Alvin
lot to
and the
say about
Chipmunks.
this. Yeah, yeah, I have a lot to say about cassette tapes, man. We literally pretty much most of the bands we started out with, we sold $5 cassette tapes, and we sold enough of them to afford T-shirts, and we sold enough T-shirts to afford to make a CD, and then you're off and running. But man, like back in the first times we were making cassette tapes, I'm gonna sound really old with this whole thing, but like, um, you know, you think that it's like some sort of studio situation where you go and you pay this company to make your tapes that you're gonna sell, and that's like a special kind of tape deck that's dubbing your tapes off and stuff, but it was just like 6 different tape decks strung together at once, dubbing your master, which is just a really, you know, one of the more expensive Maxell cassette masters, you know, that you're using. Such a terrible, terrible medium.
Yeah.
I think there are some hipsters out there now that are trying to sort of bring it back. Thumbs down. No, that's not cool.
Yeah.
But
I'm down
we
for
don't have
vinyl, but you know,
Yes. Yeah, me too. I still
yeah,
have
that,
every record I ever bought. Can you remember what the first record you ever bought with your own money was?
like a vinyl or
Yeah. Yeah.
I see I didn't really buy vinyl cuz I can't remember. I don't think my parents had one, but my first cassette tape, my first was Poison Flesh and Blood.
Nice.
I
The first vinyl record that I ever bought was Styx, Paradise Theater, because they had that song. It's before MTV, and they had that song, "Too Much Time on My Hands." And I don't know if it was like Friday night videos or something like that. They played. We had a Betamax. We were a big deal back in the 1980 or whatever. We were like the only family on our block that had a Betamax. So we would record these videos, you know, and we recorded that one. And I just remember watching Tommy Shaw sing this song, and he's wearing this weird, like teal jumpsuit. Like I think he's playing like a white explorer. He got that feathered hair. And I was like, oh, that guy's a rock star, man. And we watched it 100 times. And so when it was time to buy a record, Styx Paradise Theater, that was the first one I got.
nice.
Now, now I've got vinyl records of my own, which is like a childhood dream come true, you know?
Yeah, it's got to be cool to hold your own
It
hold your
is.
own out.
They're
Cuz
not cheap. It's a very odd thing that people are getting into vinyl again. I think it's great.
Yeah,
Because,
dude, I miss it, man. Like going to Tower Records, going to Sam Goody, going to the wall. That was a vibe. And just to flip through everything and to be able to physically touch it and see, like album art used to be like a big deal. Like
mhm.
the visuals, and then you get to read it and you get to listen to it. And back then, with the medium like that, you had to put out like all killer, no filler. It
Yeah.
had to be a spot on thing where because like if it was a cassette, he would sit there and it was an annoyance. He'd be like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, it's I do like seeing like we just did that thing in Fort Worth and hand drawn records came and he was selling records. Zach Wilkerson,
Yeah.
uh, he's got his vinyl and that it's
Zach and I have
fantastic.
been out touring around the last month or so, and we've known each other for a pretty good long time. But this has been a lot of fun playing with him, and it's a he he our styles are fairly different. He's very soulful, fairly bluesy, and my stuff is coming from a whole sort of old school traditional thing. But he's so good, and it's been so much fun hanging with him and just like moving up and down the road and getting to hear his songs on a regular basis and learning them and playing them together and stuff. But yeah, he's killer. He's so great.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to spend some time. We had dinner with him and hung out with him, and I was watching a show of you guys live on TikTok
Oh wow.
of
Yeah.
doing the song swap, which I thought
Yeah.
was great.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. He's such a great singer, such a great songwriter. We were in a songwriting group together for a couple of years. I'm still in it. Um, but he bowed out. But yeah, it's one of these things where you write a song every week, but that's a cool thing to be able to hear a new Zach Wilkerson tune every week. Because you
Yeah,
never know what they're going to hit you with. It's fun. But yeah, we got a couple of more dates on our little run of dates, and I'm getting a little sad about it because I like to keep going.
yeah,
He's cool.
yeah. I got to watch him play live too for the first time, and man, I love how he plays, and I love how when he does a solo show, that he keeps it the electric. I I, I like when people do that because
Yeah.
I'm terrible on an acoustic. It, I can pass for like bonfire good, but
Yeah.
the dynamic of going to an electric is people are like, oh wow, you know?
It, yeah, it's made me kind of think that maybe I should give it a shot because he does such a good job with it. But I've also kind of like since doing more and more acoustic things, I I've leaned into to playing more leads on acoustic, like and really because there's so many songs that were on these records that we would put out that I'm like, it's more of a band song. And then I would have to sort of tell myself, it's like, is it though? I mean, they're songs. You wrote them on an acoustic guitar and you can come up with some sort of version of playing it where you're still playing leads and you're still doing your stuff and you can figure out a way to fill those gaps a little bit, which is challenging.
Yeah,
And you'll fall on your face here and there trying to do it, but it's fun. And once you kind of get it, it's good. But then I watch Zach do it and it's like, see, I got to break out some of my cool guitars, like some of the
yeah,
ones just hanging on the wall most of the time, because
yeah.
he
That
makes
would
it good.
yeah, that would definitely be cool. But also, I feel like when people see somebody like rip a solo on acoustic, they have more respect for that than an electric. Because I know, like when now Billy Strings is a fantastic player, but that one intro he does, I'm like, it's a great arrangement, but it's not like mind blowing. But people think it's like the best lick ever, which
Yeah.
I love it too. But I could just be like, oh, this, and they're like, oh, is that not hard to do? I'm like, no, it's extremely hard to do. But on acoustic, if you can nail it like that on acoustic, I think like people that don't know the guitar just have like, I have a feeling they just think it's harder, which they're right. They're 100, and it's just like, how does a non-musician know that an acoustic? Probably because people really don't play it in that regards. Because
Yeah,
I,
because people don't do it. That's mainly it. But
yeah,
there's guys like I mean, Hey, one of these days, I'm actually going to sit down in my room and really learn Merle Travis picking. Like I can finger pick all right, and I can fake it just enough to where people who don't know, they're like, "Oh man, that's pretty good." But it's like, yeah, I'm not doing it right. I'm really not. Like it takes hours, and like your brain will hurt, and then you'll get it right.
Yeah.
Uh, but then there's guys like Tommy Emmanuel, which I don't know if you're hip to him or not, but he's otherworldly as far as guitar picking is, and he does mainly acoustic stuff, but he moves in and out from Travis picking to flat picking to just he's just really really good. And you watch people like that, it's like, man, if I could just get anywhere close, if I could get anywhere close to pulling off something, even just you know not nearly as good, but just like somewhere in the ballpark of that's the direction you want to go, then I'm doing all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I don't. I don't get that close, but you know, that's why you don't want to. That's why you don't want to be a really good guitar player, because then or like a great guitar player, because then you run out of people to point at and go, that guy. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to have somebody that you look at and you listen to and you watch, and you just that makes you just want to quit.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah.
so
That's the biggest. When someone goes,
right?
"I hate you,"
Yeah.
it's one of the best comments, and it's funny. Is like I've had people. It's like they think I'm like generally making fun of my buddy for playing his guitar, and I'm like, no, this is how we show love. These are good comments,
Yeah.
but because it's definitely it's an endless art. Because I remember I always loved I love flamenco guitar. The things
Mhm.
they could do, I hope I said Paco de la Cia, and
Yeah.
just it's amazing. And to hear it like that, and how like because I have an issue with like Stevie Ray Vaughan and all those blues guys, they could break away and still be rhythmic and still play leads and go right back in. And I'm always like, jump out, jump back into doing something. Not like don't really like Hendrix used his thumb to keep like the bass notes, and
Yeah.
I'm like a one or the other. And man, like you said, it's I've been trying to get my brain to like both sides just to just to get together,
Yeah.
and it's so and like
If you
man,
figure it out, let me know
yeah, right.
because
It's
it's
those
it's
guys
a
that can
lifelong struggle, you
yeah.
know?
Some people just can do it and just seamlessly just the song, the tempo, nothing's ever. It's all just a smooth ride, and man, it's that itself. It's you probably don't notice as a non-musician, but it's one of the hardest things to do. It's so much easier just to rip a guitar line, and but to be able to rip into it, going back into like bouncing hammer-ons and all on a chord, and going back to the rhythm side and still doing the leads and never breaking the song's character. That's one thing. Like I need that camouflage of the band and the bass player, so I can
Oh, yeah. It's a lot, because and I've always had to do a handful of acoustic shows, but then maybe like 12 or 13 years ago, 1100 Springs, just we weren't playing as full of a schedule anymore, and I don't have a job, so I needed to figure something out. I had to do more of these acoustic shows, which I found that I really love. Like maybe the most out of everything. I really just love it. It's that you can have a different conversation with the audience. You don't really need a set list. You can read the audience. You can just play whatever you think you can pull off. You can do it, and that's fun. But what got to me at that point was like, and I've always had to do that whole sort of juggling thing where I'm singing, I'm playing rhythm, I'm playing lead, and from time to time playing lead in between my vocal lines. And it's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, you lean on the band to really kind of fill the extra space. But then when you're all by yourself doing acoustic stuff and you're trying to do all of that stuff, uh, I did have to come to a point where it's like it's time to knuckle down and really kind of figure out what you're doing here, because you can do it. You know how to play guitar. You know how to sing. You can do all this stuff. You've been doing it. But if you're gonna do it like this, just by yourself, it's a lot, man. And it's still, it's. I mean, it's. it's a big challenge, and I'd really like the challenge of it all, but it's not easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
the people that you see that are like really, really good at it and just seamless. It's just it's just like what you said. It's just like I hate you. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh, like pretty much every bluesgrass guy. They
Yeah,
do that
yeah, yeah,
flapping and
yeah.
they just pop off the solo and everything. Every note has its place, and it just goes right back into that crazy rhythm, and it's like
Uh-huh.
God
And the
dang, man.
vocal too, on top of
Yeah,
it all. You know what I mean? Like it's nuts. Yeah, I don't know. It's nothing that it's never too late to I don't I think you an old dog can learn new tricks. It's never too late to sort of show yourself how to do something and rethink it. That's the fun of the whole deal, you know what I
yeah.
mean? So,
Ah, 100%. It's funny is the more professional people I get around, and I tell them, they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And it's just like I hate talking about work, so I was just like, "Oh, I play guitar," and they're like, "Aren't you a little old?" And I'm like, "Oh, who's your favorite rock stars? Are they kids? You know,
yeah.
yeah, like your favorite guitar player is 14, 12. You know, what are we talking about here? You know, like,
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah,
mean?
well, I mean, I don't know. It's just I think most people probably just don't they can't wrap their head around the idea that your quote unquote job is that, you know.
Yeah,
And like most folks that I run into, my friends, like they think it's pretty cool, you know. But I tell you, I'm probably like you in the sense that if you wind up at one of these parties, these backyard barbecues or whatever, and you're catching up with everybody, and they start to ask about, well, you had any good cool shows lately? And I'm just like, oh no, man, let's not do this. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I couldn't explain it to you. I mean, it's cool that you know that you're interested, and it's that's great, but it's just there's no way for me to really sort of explain what it is we do. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Uh, and it's I don't know. I'm also just sort of it doesn't feel like it's supposed to be it doesn't feel to me like it's supposed to be a job that I can do. You know, like so
Yeah,
for me to talk about it with somebody who's, pulling down six figures, doing whatever it is that they do, it's just kind of like, man, it's not but they like seeing what, it's interesting. And it's
yeah,
I don't know. This is still as interesting for me anyways. There's a lot of interesting things happen, you know. But
yeah. I every once in a while, it's a good conversation, but when you're trying to tell somebody of like, like why do you do it? You know, they're like, oh, you have a good job. Why drive all the way to Maine and play for God knows, uh, it could be 10 people. It could be this.
yeah,
It's like, dude,
right.
it's for the love of the music. And, you know, it's great when you play hometown and you see the same people, but man, when you find new people that get excited, it's just like a complete circle. I've always found of when people come on, they're like, "What's your name? Never heard you." Blah blah. This was so much fun because at your hometown, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, great show. We going out after?"
Right.
It's just another gig. But man, when you go see new people and get hopefully new fans, it's a really cool thing when you're
Yeah, it
wrapping up
is.
your cables and you just see smiles and they want to talk to you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, man, I always make the joke that I'm not otherwise employable, and it's only about half a joke. It's, God, God help me if I have to actually get a job. I certainly wouldn't get a job as a lighting director. This light is this. I'm looking at my picture. It's like the worst ever. I didn't think this through, man. But anyway, no, I always kind of make that joke. But the other thing that like I've told people every once in a while, somebody who's younger than I am will ask, "Do you have any advice?" Which is like hysterical to me, anyways. Like you're asking the wrong guy. But sometimes it's like, well, if you're really asking, if you can do something else, if you can do something else, do that. Don't do this. And they're like, well, what do you mean? It's like, no, I mean, if you don't have to do this, then don't. I have to do this. It's not just a question of, like, this is my job and all of those things. It would be really difficult for me to find some other new career path at this point in my life. That's true, but I still love it. I still need to do it. It's still part of the fabric of who I am. If I wasn't doing it, I think I'd be miserable on some deeper level. And if you don't have to do it, if you just want to have a job that pays, there's a million of them that you can get,
Yeah.
where it's easier. A lot of the things are just easier about doing anything else. But if you love to do what it is we do, and you still have a passion for it, and nobody can talk you out of it, even if they tried, then yeah, keep doing it. You know.
Yeah.
But that's why I understood whenever Steve, our bass player, said he didn't want to do it anymore. It's like, well, I get it, man.
Yeah.
That's good. Godspeed. Like if you ever do, you got a spot on stage with me. Um, but that's just it. The flip side of that coin, I know I'm talking a lot here, but the flip side of that coin is I also roll my eyes when people who don't get it, like, they're like, but you love what you do. And it's like, yeah, I do. I do love what I do, but let me just go ahead and tell you why you're saying it with such uh, romance and music. When you say that I love what I do, you wouldn't last a day. You wouldn't
Yeah.
last a day doing what we do. Like, you really, really, I know I love it because I have to do it, and I still love to do it. But I mean, just the sum of the situations you find yourself in, it's unreal. And then,
Yeah.
some of the great situations you couldn't possibly explain. The highs are way, way up here, and then some of those weird situations you get yourself into that are way down at the bottom. And those are the best stories, right?
Yeah.
Like,
T-
you know,
a
those are the
hundred
ones.
percent.
Like, and most of the stories that people want to hear when you're hanging around are not just like, oh, we did this show. It was so amazing. Everybody was there. They were all singing along and having a great time. It's like, no, it's usually the one where you're like, yeah, we were all sitting in the back of a van eating day old corn dogs because we were starving. And then, you fill in the blanks on that story. But like,
Yeah.
those life is interesting. At least you get to do something interesting and you get to have some fun doing it.
Yeah. 100%. Like, and I think like musicians, man, you have to have that drive, and some of the stories from the grind and everything. And one of my favorite things to do is to read biographies, autobiographies, and stuff about comedians. Comedians even like start even lower than musicians, and just to hear their stories of just the losing their nails trying to climb out of the well of sleeping in cars for like less than $100. You get paid in gravy fries, and they put you up, and oh, we have your lodging, and it's like a shed with
Oh
four
yeah.
other people. And man, you read some of these books, and but now a lot of them are very well known in in a very good economic space. But man, like people don't understand like what musicians do, especially when like because that was one of the things that drove me out of music is my friend's band had gotten signed. They had a
Yeah.
huge song, they had all this, and they were begging for change so they could buy peanut butter and jelly sandwiches
Mm-hmm.
because they needed money to eat. And I'm like, man, you just had a show with a bunch of people, and he's like, well, we didn't get any of the door money. We don't get any of that. That's a venue. The half of it goes to there, and then half of it goes there, and then they take a cut on this, and oh yeah, all that money we made off our album, it goes because we got to pay that deal back. And I was like, what? And I was just like,
Yeah.
man, it was crazy to see one of my favorite hardcore bands. Just like, man, we're just if we get this much more money, we can do the peanut butter. Like the peanut butter is primo. It's the most
Uh-huh.
expensive.
Yeah, yeah. I've got stories similar to that. Just that and comedy. I'm such a huge comedy nerd too. It's cool that you brought that up because it's like I've always thought, 'cause I love comedy and I love. Uh, there's been times I'm like, man, what if I put together a tight five and I just went to an open mic and just gave it a shot, just to see? Because I bet I could. I'm used to being on stage. I'm
Yeah.
used to. I'm already doing some of that during my own shows. But that just scares the hell out of me. And I love comedy and I like making people laugh at my own shows, and that's part of it. But boy, I tell you what, man, that is a freak show and a half, because it's one thing to be funny, and if it's not going well, you just start playing the song and that's it. But like, if it's going badly for a comedian, and it always does, no matter how, you never outgrow bombing.
Yeah.
Like if somebody wants to heckle you, they're there. They're right there. There's no counting off into the band or playing the song or whatever. If they want to keep going at you, they will go for as long as they want to. And that would scare the hell out of me. But I mean, I love that stuff too. I really love comedy, but you're right, and to be out there sort of on your own, just by yourself and staying, like you say, in your car or at the comedy condo or whatever like that. I mean, there's a whole true aspect to the sad clown of that whole deal. Just like
Yeah.
why all these comedians are so miserable. You know what I mean? Like they're just miserable people because it's just out there, you know, doing it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, misery, it's what makes comedy so good. If you were
Right.
happy all the time, you wouldn't want to, you wouldn't need to laugh, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, most of my favorite comedians are the ones that are truly, truly, truly screwed up. You
Yeah.
know,
Same here.
very dark. Some deep darkness within them that breeds that cynicism that just twists their point of view in such a way where you're just like, geez, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but
Same
that's
here. I love some of their outlooks on things when you're like, man, that is a great way to look at that. It's very unique how like the more genius ones have like just the way they perceive the world, where they can break down things in such different ways where you would never think of it. And just I do love stand up comedy is like one of my other favorite things that
Do you have a favorite comedian right now or just of all time?
all time, man. I love Doug Stanhope, George Carlin, uh man, Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
Uh
Wow.
man, I'm just like I'm like Richard Pryor. I love Richard
Yeah.
Pryor and all
Pryor's
the.
my favorite of all time.
Oh
He's
my
my favorite
god,
of all time. But I
he's.
love that you said Stanhope because he's so messed up in the head. And
Oh my
Bill
god.
Hicks was so ahead of his time. Bill Hicks, he was so great. But yeah, all those guys, man.
Yeah,
Did you? All right, this is the last I will nerd out on comedians because I feel like I'm standing at the edge of the rabbit hole, and I'm trying to keep myself from going all the way down. But like, have you heard the Bill Burr Philadelphia rant?
oh yeah, yeah. I'm from Philly. I've
Yeah.
it was
So
hilarious.
it's like I've warned so many of my friends out on this particular clip. It's a 13-minute clip, and he's at this comedy festival all day long in Philadelphia, and the Philly fans famously do not pull punches,
Yeah,
and they're just letting everybody have it all day long. And then finally, Bill Burr just snaps, and he just goes for 13 minutes straight, berating all the sports teams, every bridge, all the entire crowd, just in the most mean, ruthless way. And he's like, "No, I'm doing all 15 minutes." And it's brilliant. They hate him at first. Like they basically hate him, but like they kind of they kind of come around to love him because he's just giving them exactly what they want, which is just to basically just to throw it back in their face.
yeah,
Anyway, I love that stuff.
yeah, yeah. Bill Burr, he's hilarious. He's
He's an angry guy,
yeah,
angry dude. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah. Same here. Just
Yeah,
yeah, I love his observations and stuff like that. But
yeah,
yeah, I remember when that happened. That I was like, ooh, I was like, nice, because like you said, like being from Philly and like loving the Texas country artists come in and, oh, they're wearing a Dallas Cowboys jersey because that's where they're from, and they'll start doing the chant. It's like, come on, man, we're here for the music. Like, dude,
Yeah.
like, why did you buy a ticket? Like, are you surprised the guy from Dallas is wearing his team? Like, what's the big deal? Like, when I was staying in Frisco a couple weeks ago, and people are like, oh, yeah, yeah, enjoy the Dallas Cowboys training facility. I'm like, okay, it's a really nice area. The weather's beautiful, you know?
Yeah. I like that. I like Drew Kennedy and I are buddies, and 'cause he's from Philly, and I don't do it much anymore just because I mean the Cowboys suck so bad, so much of the time, and Philly, the Eagles have been kind of the last couple of years just been killing it, just it's a good team, but that rivalry is serious. It's serious and it's famous. So like every once in a while, if the Eagles are playing the Cowboys, I'll I'll start I'll start sending some text to Drew, and if some, like if on a one rare occasion the Cowboys managed to pull off some sort of play, and she'd be like, "Hey, did you see that? Look at that." And he's like, "No, I didn't see what happened." It's back and forth, but like I don't know. It's a famous old rivalry, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even watch sports, and it's funny when I'm in Texas or I'll say like, yeah, I'm like, if I say I'm from Delaware, people go, oh, you're from Colorado. I'm like, no, it's Denver. But I'll just say, oh, I'm from Philly, and they're like, really? What do you? I'm like, I don't think anything. I don't think anything of it. I'm fine.
It's I don't follow sports either, man.
Yeah,
I just watch the Cowboys really. And that's about it. And it's usually with diminishing returns, you
yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah.
literally and figuratively, you know, it's usually not great. I watch the Rangers and I watch the Cowboys if I watch anything at all. And but I'm not a big sports ball guy, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm the same. Yeah. Steve
Well,
just up. What were we gonna say?
oh, nothing. Go ahead.
Steve said, ask about the drunk Hank set.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Are you familiar with this? What he's talking about?
I have no
All
idea.
right. So like there's a famous clip on YouTube of Hank Williams Jr. and he's hammered. He's hammered on stage, and it's about a 30-minute clip, and he can't really. He says a lot of really raunchy stuff, and it's hilarious to me. Um, so we listened to it a whole bunch of times going up and down the road, so much so that I really kind of had the whole thing memorized, like all the wrong words and everything. I had the whole thing figured out. And one year in Steamboat, the Steamboat Music Fest, they did a comedy night, which was like after hours. It was really only for the musicians, and and people got up and they played all their dirty songs and whatnot. But and it just so happened that this year the guy who does the voice for SpongeBob SquarePants, Tom Kenny, great comedian, um, and he was there, and so I did as a bit. I got up, I stumbled into the room with like a fake beard on that was made of yarn. It was the only thing that Courtney Patton put it on my face, and it looked awful. It looked terrible, and these sunglasses on and my hat and stuff. And I got up on stage as Hank Williams Jr. Now nobody knows what the hell is going on with this, but I get up there and I'm doing the whole bit verbatim, and so half of the room, I loved it because half of the room had seen this whole thing or had heard it before, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, he's really doing it. Like he's really going word for word." The other half just thinks I'm a drunken idiot. They just think that I get up there and they're just like, "What the hell? Is he okay? Is he all right? What is going on with this guy?" But I encourage you to if you look up Hank Williams Jr. drunk on stage. I can't do much of it here because it's pretty foul. I mean, he says a lot of stuff that's classic and hilarious to me and unintelligible, but you'll appreciate. I'll send it to you. It'll be rapidly become one of your favorite clips that you've heard. You
Yeah,
know.
dude, I look forward to it because I remember seeing a clip of Chris Farley as Hank Williams Jr.
Yeah,
Like,
and it goes through every city. Detroit's
yeah,
coming over tonight. Baltimore's coming over tonight.
they're like, oh, Hank, it's a bullfish ass.
Yeah.
Whatever he says. I was like, because I didn't know. It, it's funny, like I didn't know who he was, and I wish I would have done a video of Country Boy Can Survive. I I like that song.
Well,
And
that's
then,
one of the songs that he does.
oh
On the
God,
clip, they're not together. Like I'll have to if I send it to you, I'll have to sort of give you earmark the minutes and times when to tune in. But I can say that he starts off that one off. He's like, "Preacher man says it's a live a time. Civil man says it's a wind of time. Interest is up and the stock market down. It did no bit of old downtown. We're just hillbillies." It goes on and on and on. Oh, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
it's
Yeah.
it's
So I have
crazy.
dabbled in comedy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
It's funny how like people could be like that back then and not get absolutely their careers ruined, because now it's on every social media and you're like really like it used to be like your rock star was found in a dumpster, and that was like crazy, man, they're crazy. Now it's like, oh, it's tabloid, it's this, it's like all
Yet
that.
nobody really cares, right? Like nobody really cares. Like it's still just gonna go by like a fart in the wind, no matter what. But yeah, you're right. It can live, and that makes me really pretty glad that whenever I did play heavy rock music, like it was right in the sweet spot, right before YouTube and
Yeah,
before cell phone cameras, so that a lot of that stuff it only exists in people's memory,
yeah,
because I don't know,
100%.
because I can't tell you that it would have aged very well
Yeah,
whatsoever.
a
You
hundred
know,
percent. I,
yeah,
I I hate sounding old, but I see these kids, and I'm like, do you not know what incrimination is? Like, if you would have pulled out a disposable at you would have been, the crowd would have adjusted you. I was
yeah,
like, no,
yeah.
no, no. Like,
Well, and I got kids myself, and I've had to try and tell them, it's like, look, don't forget, this stuff lives forever,
ever. Oh God.
forever. It'll go on. It'll be, you know, after the apocalypse, someone's going to find a hard drive of you doing something you shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah,
So, knock on wood. Hopefully, I dodged most of the bullets that would have been
yeah,
coming my way.
yeah. Polaroids fade and all that.
Yeah, yeah,
It is wild how just, I mean, all that physical media had a shelf life, and now once it's in that digital 10001, as long as it's on that little space, it will not go away.
You know what I always laughed at is like sometimes we would play weddings, and we've been playing music long enough to where, you'd play a wedding once in a while, and the bride and the groom really didn't want to spend a bunch of money paying for like the photographer, so they would just put disposable cameras on the tables, you know, which it's a terrible, it's an
Yeah,
awful idea, man. I
couple
mean,
trips to the bathroom.
don't worry about what we're gonna do. But like, I mean, your buddies, I mean, they can't wait to.
Yeah,
I mean, you go get those developed. I mean, get double prints while you're at
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
You know
The
what I mean?
groom's laughing, the bride is so angry.
No, no, but they saved money. They saved money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
oh, those were the days.
yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. But man,
yeah.
we've been talking for like an hour and 20. Is there anything?
Seems like 15 minutes, but we've been going at it for a pretty good long time, and it's been fun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh,
Like I'm
dude.
really, really stoked to be on this deal, and I'm sorry that my lighting sucks.
It's all right.
I've just been looking at this picture, see, I can see it, and I'm
Your
just like,
identity is it's being protected for your protection.
yeah, yeah,
like the
exactly.
old,
Like, well, I need a voice harmonizer.
yeah. Yeah.
Back in the day, it's like I'm in the witness protection program.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, man, so much fun. I really dig your stuff. I can't wait to meet you in person.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me, man.
Dude, thanks for jumping on. I you know, as someone from Delaware that just started learning about country music and you have an incredible catalog, and you're a Texan legend. It's incredible that I get to talk to someone like you with of someone that just has that big of an impact on the scene, and just uh, I, I have I have a lot of respect for you, and man, just like I was when I was talking to BJ from American Aquarium, I was like, I need to sit down with these records and really get the collective of them, because like doing them like a little bit at a time is a cool, but when you do like an immersive thing and you're like, man, it's a different experience. It's what it used to be, the experience of you went home, you opened it up, you put it on, or you had your cassette, or you had your Discman, you had your big 5 speaker thing, and you started reading, just reading it and everything, and man, you really get a great sense of the music when you really listen to it in a very long format, which I've been doing the last couple of days, and it's just
I
like,
I agree with you, and thank you so much for saying such nice things. I really appreciate it. And thank you for listening. And yeah, no, I mean, I really appreciate it. I love the whole premise of what it is you've been doing this whole time. Like I can't remember when the first time I saw it, but even just the name of it grabbed me. The algorithm is weird, so you don't know what it's going to send to you. I'm
yeah,
not surprised now. It makes all the sense in the world. But when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," you know. And yeah, and then I really, yeah, I would see you listen to stuff from friends of mine. I'm like, man, how do I get him my stuff? Like I don't want to be that guy that says, "Hey, listen to this." You know what I mean? But it's like, and finally one time you were listening to 1100 Springs record. It's like, yes, yes, all right, very cool. And here we are. So
yeah,
thank you so much for being so kind and doing what you do. It's really really cool.
dude, you guys do all the work, and I get to have all the fun of listening to this great music, man. So thank you as well.
You bet, brother.
But yeah, man, thanks for hopping on, and we definitely got to do it again. And hopefully, I do catch you at a show and actually do meet you in person. That'd be badass.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, man, I definitely will. Well, yeah, I'll just stop it right here then.
Yeah, buddy.
All right.
Appreciate you.